After many years of marriage without conceiving, her husband proposed the idea of adopting a child. On the day he brought home their 1-year-old adopted son, her close friend happened to visit. Just as I held the child in my arms, I suddenly noticed the comments. "Oh dear, how amusing. They say he is an adopted son, but in reality, he is the illegitimate child of her husband and her best friend. How unfortunate for the protagonist. Her friend claims to be on an assignment, but in truth, she secretly bore a child with the protagonist's husband. How hilarious that the protagonist is blissfully unaware." 1. My dear friend, brimming with maternal affection, was playfully engaging with a child, announcing her intention to embark on a journey around the globe. She had come specifically to bid me farewell, yet her gaze remained steadfastly fixed on the child. Presenting an array of toys and new clothes, she declared they were specially prepared for the little one. I handed the child to her, teasingly suggesting, "Su Huan, since you adore children so much, why not take this one? After all, he is not my biological offspring." In a flurry, she cradled the child and hastily declined, stating, "Though he is not your flesh and blood, he is still the child that you have adopted. You must treat him as your own." Had it not been for the barrage of comments, I would have remained oblivious to the depths of my so-called friend's cunning hypocrisy. My husband, embracing both me and the child with uncontainable joy, remarked, "Su Yao loves children so much, she will undoubtedly care for him well." Witnessing their harmonious exchange filled me with revulsion. With a gentle laugh, I replied, "Of course, I shall nurture him with utmost care." No sooner had my friend departed than my husband announced he needed to work late and swiftly changed his attire before heading out. Just as I was gathering evidence, I was taken aback by news of my friend's mysterious disappearance. In the dead of night, I received a call informing me that my husband had collapsed unexpectedly during his overtime and was urgently transported to the hospital. While I was soothing the child, the shocking news sent me into a panic. Clutching the child, I hastily made my way to the hospital. Upon my arrival, the nurse presented me with paperwork to sign, stating that Guyu had been declared dead after failed resuscitation efforts. With my kind and tender heart, I had initially thought the child was innocent and resolved to raise him alone. Yet, the barrage of comments revealed a cruel reality. The heroine is so pitiful. Her husband faked his death, while her friend travels the world, leaving her at home to care for the child. Indeed, once the child's biological parents return, they will surely deny the heroine as their mother. What ungrateful wretches they are. 2. Ah, how fortunate I was for the forewarning from the comments. I never imagined my dear friend had conspired with my husband to ensnare me in their deceitful web. Initially, my parents had worried I might be mistreated, providing a dowry 3-fold greater than the bride price. After our marriage, my husband suggested I focus solely on preparing for pregnancy, compelling me to resign from my cherished job. Yet, 3 years passed without a child. We had undergone every necessary examination, and while my body was deemed sound, conception remained elusive. Although my in-laws never uttered a word of reproach, I felt an unshakable guilt. I contemplated in vitro fertilization, but my husband, fearing the ordeal would be too burdensome for me, dissuaded me. Little did I know, he had long been entangled with my friend in a clandestine affair. "Madam, please sign swiftly. Once you do, you may retrieve your husband's ashes," the nurse urged impatiently. Had it not been for the comments that had forewarned me, I might have followed him into the abyss. The moment I read the comments, I resolved never to shed a single tear for him. With a scoff, I hastily signed the documents. The nurse handed me the urn, feigning sympathy. "My condolences, madam." Without hesitation, I opened the lid and dumped the contents onto the floor, ash scattering everywhere. The nurse shrieked in horror. "What are you doing, you madwoman? Those are your husband's ashes." Bystanders, upon realizing they were witnessing the scattering of remains, fled in terror. Who would dare to spread ashes here? How ghastly! Is she out of her mind? Where are the hospital security guards? They must expel this lunatic. The chaos escalated, and as the ashes clung to me, I lamented, "Am I now cursed by your misfortune? This hospital condones such madness. I demand compensation for my distress." The crowd rallied to condemn me, and as the hospital's interests were at stake, the nurse quickly restrained me. 3. Madam, the deceased deserves respect. Regardless of any grievances you may have had with your husband, desecrating his ashes is uncalled for. Quickly, gather them back into the urn. Bystanders chimed in, urging me to apologize. Hurry, bow down before the deceased. Otherwise, they shall find no peace, and the living shall suffer. Indeed, such a deranged woman. It's no wonder her husband met his demise. Unbeknownst to them, they echoed each other's ignorance in their accusations. I erupted in maniacal laughter, kneeling to scoop the ashes and fling them upward. Do you see it clearly? Is this truly ash? Those still retaining their composure observed closely and realized it was not ashes at all, but rather the white clay my child had used for play. Ah, I recognize this. When mixed with water, it becomes moldable dough. Although I had no child, I noticed a toy ruby nestled within the supposed ashes. I turned to the nurse, demanding, "Why has your hospital provided me with fake ashes? Where is my husband?" The nurse, flustered, dashed into the office and returned with a contract. "Madam, look here. This is the agreement signed by your husband before his death, instructing us to revive him posthumously. He also left a will bestowing his company upon you. So you must care for the child well." I gazed at the freshly penned name, Guyu, and sneered once more. Guyu had initially used my dowry as venture capital, ascending to become a tech magnate, and his company had flourished. Yet, he had stooped to faking his own death to frolic with my friend. The comments erupted anew. "Oh, it's merely a shell company. The assets and technology were transferred abroad long ago. Guyu and Su Huan are currently surfing in the Maldives. With such a foolish woman to care for their child, they must be reveling in delight." For, upon returning home, I promptly placed the child in an orphanage. Just as I completed the handover, I saw the comments. "Oh no, why has Su Yao sent the child to the orphanage?" Indeed. The child had a high fever just days ago. It was Su Yao who rushed him to the hospital and saved him. Su Yao has such a cruel heart. How pitiful for such a small child. The comments furrowed my brow. They were the ones who had acted without compassion, even if I appeared heartless. What of it? He was not my child, and as the comment suggested, should I raise him, he would surely turn against me. My in-laws had once been quite fond of me as their daughter-in-law, but with Guyu's demise, they supported my decision to ensure I did not delay my chance to remarry. This gesture touched me deeply. After marrying into the Gu family, my in-laws treated me as their own daughter, delighting in preparing sumptuous meals for me. During festivals, they showered me with gifts. They once believed it was they who had elevated themselves by marrying me, thinking I had married down. When I wed, my parents had harbored doubts about Guyu, having already sought a more suitable match for me. My rebellious insistence on the marriage had caused them considerable embarrassment. Looking back, I felt an overwhelming sense of remorse toward my parents. I dialed their number and couldn't help but weep. My mother comforted me, reassuring me that it was all right. He Yenji had inquired about my happiness before departing, implying he was likely waiting for me. "Mother, you jest. With He Yenji's status, countless women would vie for his affection. Why would he wait for a widow like me? No, truly, do come back for a visit. Let's arrange a meeting." After hanging up, I noticed the comments again. He Yenji is utterly infatuated with Su Yao. Indeed, the story concludes with Guyu and Su Huan returning to reclaim their child, leaving Su Yao devastated, leading her to take her own life. Then, in vengeance, He Yenji kills Guyu and Su Huan, ultimately being imprisoned and sentenced to death. Reading those comments left me in shock. Could it be that He Yenji truly loved me so deeply? Such a notion was utterly unfathomable. As I was speaking, a message arrived, sent by He Yenji. "Su Yao, you have lost your husband. Would you still consider marrying me?" I cautiously replied, "What if I said I would?" "Then I shall marry you," came the instantaneous response. 5. He Yenji's message sent my heart racing. Although our families were well acquainted, we had only met a handful of times, as he had been studying abroad. When I called off our engagement, I used our lack of familiarity as an excuse, and his family did not press the matter. Guyu was their only son, and now he was gone. I had expected his parents to be heartbroken, but to my surprise, my former mother-in-law handed me a card, stating it contained their retirement funds, which they wished to give me as compensation. I immediately refused. My father-in-law interjected, "Yao Yao, we have always regarded you as our daughter. Please accept it." Guyu may have been a scoundrel, but his parents were innocent, and I had intended to stand my ground. Yet, my mother-in-law insisted on pressing the card into my hands. Reluctantly, I accepted it, tears welling in my eyes. She admonished me, Yao Yao, it is Guyu who wronged you. He lacked the fortune. Live well from now on, and marry a good man. Since my mother-in-law had spoken so earnestly, I felt it necessary to be truthful. Dad, Mom, I do have something to tell you. Before marrying Guyu, I had another suitor, who is still waiting for me. My mother-in-law's face brightened with joy. That's wonderful. It's a pity that we can no longer regard you as our daughter. Observing the sorrow etched on her face, I contemplated for a moment and said, Mom and Dad, even if I marry someone else, I will always be your daughter, and I will take care of you. My in-laws were moved to tears. After all, they had given me their retirement funds. How could I be ungrateful to such loving people? The comments began to flood in. Oh no, Guyu and Su Huan's son, after suffering a high fever in the orphanage, was not discovered in time and has now become mentally impaired. He may never be able to attend school again. Guyu and Su Huan are currently enjoying a luxurious vacation abroad, reveling in their blissful life together. It's all Su Yao's fault. How could she heartlessly send the child to an orphanage? Hey, you commenters, think like normal people. If your husband were to be taken away by your best friend, would you still be so carefree? Some comments were venomous, but there were also those with sound judgment. I sighed in relief. As for that child, it was a result of their own making, and I felt no pity whatsoever. 6. The wedding plans were swiftly finalized. He Yenji personally came to collect me, and I was indeed willing to marry him. Without a moment's hesitation, he agreed to honor my former in-laws alongside me. On the wedding day, I donned a $1 million haute couture wedding gown to marry He Yenji. My former father-in-law gifted me a generous red envelope, while my former mother-in-law, having little savings, removed her gold bracelet to present it as a wedding gift. I hurriedly placed the bracelet back onto her wrist. Mom, this was a wedding gift from Dad. I cannot possibly accept it. My mother-in-law, moved, wiped away tears, saying, I am happy for you. Dear child, please accept it. The comments resurfaced after a long absence. Guyu and Su Huan are flourishing in their business abroad, yet it is unfortunate that their son has become a fool back home. These two despicable individuals care only for their own enjoyment while leaving others to suffer. But thankfully, Su Yao is marrying He Yenji. I believe they are perfectly matched. Oh yes, shipping this couple brings me joy. The tone of the comments grew increasingly jubilant. However, I had long ceased to care about Guyu and Su Huan's lives. They were no longer of any concern to me. I collected myself and embarked on a new chapter of my life. Shortly after marriage, I quickly became pregnant with my own child. My in-laws visited daily, bringing me various delicacies. My mother-in-law, having previously run a restaurant, was an exceptional cook. Even the nutritionist hired by He Yenji could not compete with her culinary skills, and thus, he dismissed the nutritionist. During the routine prenatal checkup, we discovered I was expecting twins, which filled He Yenji with immense joy. He promptly gifted me a company. When our son was born, I glanced at the comments again. Su Huan is struggling with the local climate abroad, while Guyu faces immense pressure in his entrepreneurial pursuits. They frequently argue. Frustrated, Su Huan seeks solace with male models. After indulging in a life of luxury and shamelessness, she spiraled out of control. As a result, she developed a severe gynecological condition and had her uterus removed. Oh, how fitting. I couldn't help but revel in schadenfreude. 7. The nurse brought in my 2 adorable children, and He Yenji placed our son in my arms while he cradled our daughter, beaming with pride. My dear wife, you have worked so hard. Indeed, it had been arduous, but the safe arrival of our 2 children filled me with gratitude. During my time with Guyu, I had not been able to conceive, and my in-laws had never complained. Yet, Guyu often insinuated that I was a barren hen, which left me feeling inferior and heartbroken on several occasions. Little did I know that after marrying He Yenji, I would promptly conceive twins. He Yenji settled by my bedside, asking my mother-in-law, who was caring for me, to assist us in capturing a family photo. After the photo shoot, my mother-in-law suddenly became tearful and stepped outside to wipe her eyes. As a new mother, I could empathize with her emotions. I pondered whether I should reveal to her that Guyu was, in fact, not dead. However, shortly after, my father-in-law visited to see the children, gifting each of them a gold bracelet. I graciously accepted, relishing their kindness towards me. Once I had completed my confinement period, our household employed 4 nannies. Yet my in-laws remained unconvinced and insisted on supervising them. They expressed concerns about some unscrupulous nannies who might administer sedatives to the children or even unspeakable acts. In any case, they insisted on being involved in the children's care. Seeing their genuine affection for my children, I acquiesced. Having been away from the workforce for several years, I had become somewhat out of touch with my professional life, but after marrying He Yanji, he entrusted me with managing a company. I successfully maneuvered the business to increase its performance several-fold and expanded its commercial reach. After a lengthy hiatus, the comments reemerged. Who would have thought Su Yao is a strong woman? Previously, when married to Guyu, she resigned to be a housewife. That was a mistake. Guyu is truly unfortunate. Lacking funds abroad, he resorts to borrowing, only to encounter a financial crisis that leaves his business in shambles.
Suwan,
Having had her uterus removed, is no longer in good health and cannot contribute. Their lives are utterly miserable. They remain oblivious, believing their son is being well cared for by Su Yao, unaware he has become a fool. But soon, they will be returning home.
8.
The comments were filled with delight. I had lost interest in their affairs. However, when the comments indicated their desire to return, it immediately set off alarm bells in my mind. They had left their children in my care for 5 years, naively hoping I would continue as their free nanny. The audacity to simply return and reclaim their children was beyond belief. I recalled that they had faked their deaths, but had yet to cancel their registrations. I promptly contacted the relevant authorities to erase their records one by one. Let us see how they plan to return to the country. Dreaming of reaping the rewards without effort. The children were now of kindergarten age, and my in-laws, having nothing to do, eagerly offered to help with their pickup and drop-off. Their sincerity was evident. He Yanji was pleased and gifted them a new car, registering it in their names, and even arranged for a driver to escort the children. My in-laws were utterly devoted. On days with no social engagements, they faithfully came to my company to deliver meals. Not only that, but He Yanji's gastric ailment, which had plagued him during his busy career in previous years, has also been cured. Meanwhile, I have established a new brand of traditional Chinese culture, expanding my business overseas, garnering attention from major domestic media outlets. Once a seemingly insignificant housewife, I have now transformed into a formidable businesswoman capable of commanding the winds and the waves. Gradually, news of the two of them has faded, and the long-absent comments have resurfaced. Oh dear, Guyu and Su Huan have been stripped of their household registration and, without passports, cannot return to the country. Moreover, after their company went bankrupt, their formerly grand villa was seized to settle debts, leaving them to rent the most inexpensive accommodations. Yet they continue to believe their son is thriving in the country, desperately seeking ways to return to see him. I can't help but chuckle inwardly. Their foolishness is truly astounding. All 3 of us graduated from prestigious universities, brimming with potential. In the past, Guyu, as a tech prodigy, created a new AI-era myth, widely reported by domestic media. Su Huan, with an elder sister and a younger brother, was not favored by her parents, yet she fought her way to success. Jealous of my advantageous family background and the quality of my husband, unable to seize my heritage, they resorted to desperate attempts to take my man instead. Alas, they abandoned their comfortable lives in the country, only to endure hardship abroad. I cannot suppress my delight in their misfortune. The 2 children have enrolled in a trilingual kindergarten, and my career is flourishing. Thankfully, my former in-laws diligently assist in caring for the children, who are thriving in health. Their height and weight surpass the average for their age, and I worry that they might experience precocious maturity due to excessive nutrition. I seize a moment to take them to the hospital's nutrition department for an evaluation, and the results indicate that they are exceptionally healthy. The 2 children lean against me, their faces beaming with pride. Once again, the long-lost comments re-emerge. Su Yao's son and daughter are truly impressive. What a pity for Guyu and Su Huan's son, who has remained stunted in development since suffering a high fever in childhood without timely treatment, his intelligence forever trapped at that of a 1-year-old. Now of school age, he can recognize not a single character and stutters when he speaks, rendering him entirely unfit for school. Moreover, he is yet to be potty trained. Without someone to care for him, he will relieve himself indiscriminately. How disgusting! And Guyu and Su Huan, unable to return home, have attempted to sneak back several times, only to be caught, nearly facing execution on the spot. They fled to Thailand, where Guyu was forced to witness Su Huan being assaulted repeatedly. How tragic it must have been. I quietly absorbed the comments, feeling a mix of sympathy and satisfaction. These two must pay the price for their past actions, reaping the bitter fruits of their choices. Suddenly, I experience a wave of nausea. He Yancy takes me to the hospital for an examination, and the doctor informs me that I am pregnant once more. This time, I am expecting quadruplets. The shock nearly overwhelms me. Having struggled through a twin pregnancy was already a trial. However, the doctor reassures me that with the advancements in medical care and my excellent physical condition, carrying quadruplets poses no issue. He Yancy expresses concern but acknowledges that terminating the pregnancy could inflict significant harm on my body. He fully respects my decision. Yao Yao. If you wish to bring them to term, I will arrange for a medical team to care for you throughout. With you by my side. What reason do I have not to be brave? Once more, I undergo a cesarean section, delivering 2 boys and 2 girls, an impeccable outcome. I never anticipated that I would successfully navigate this ordeal. He Yancy holds me, weeping for the pain I endured over 10 months. My current in-laws reward me with a staggering 32 billion for my efforts, while my parents, elated, present me with 10 billion worth of jewelry. My former in-laws are also happy for me, though I had not borne a child during my years in their family. Now I have brought forth 6. Particularly, my mother-in-law adores children. It is evident that she cherishes them deeply. Yet, they are not her biological grandchildren, and she cannot fully conceal her disappointment. He Yancy then asks his mother to help us take a family photo. The nurse takes the 4 little ones for a bath, while He Yancy escorts the older 2 to school. In the hospital room, I am left momentarily alone with my mother-in-law, and after a moment of contemplation, I finally speak. Mother, actually Guyu is still alive. He did not die. My mother-in-law's face brightens with joy. Where is he? Wasn't he cremated? He should be abroad with my dear friend Su Huan, and they have a child together, your biological grandson. Upon hearing this, my mother-in-law is overcome with emotion, tears streaming down her face. The child Guyu had brought to me to raise was, in fact, his and Su Huan's offspring. They had both faked their deaths to escape abroad, hoping I would assist in raising the child. However, upon discovering the betrayal by both my beloved and my closest friend, I could not bear the burden and sent the child to an orphanage. Mother, will you blame me? Reflecting on the past betrayal brings a pang to my heart. I had treated them with genuine sincerity, only to be so cruelly deceived. My resentment toward them lies buried within, and I cannot describe the joy I feel when I see comments revealing their dismal plight. My mother-in-law is a sensible woman, and upon hearing my calm recounting, her anger surpasses mine. Yao Yao, after all these years, I had long considered him dead. Even if he were alive, he abandoned his wife and children, disregarding our pain as we raised him to adulthood, engaging in this charade of faking his death. I no longer recognize him as my son. At her words, a smile of understanding crosses my face. However, my father-in-law, who had long suffered from illness, upon learning that Guyu had faked his death abroad, was so enraged that he passed away. Guyu, the only son, and once a top scholar, had been a source of pride for my father-in-law, who had only recently come to terms with his untimely demise. Little did he know it was all a ruse. After dealing with my father-in-law's affairs, my mother-in-law had nowhere to go and moved in with me. She has continued to care for me with unwavering dedication, even more so than my own parents or current in-laws. Sometimes, when I experience minor frustrations, she is the first to notice. Time flies by. Over the years, the comments have continuously revealed the dire circumstances of Guyu and Su Huan abroad. I paid them no mind. Suddenly, a comment catches my attention. Guyu and Su Huan have finally returned to the country after enduring countless hardships. I can't wait to see their reunion with their child. Over the years, the comments that once mocked me have now aligned with my side. Each time they report on their misfortunes, they marvel at my splendid life, and at times, even flatter me, proclaiming me the true winner of life, with a handsome husband, numerous children, and a successful career. But what does their return matter? Our relationship has long since been severed. My mother-in-law comes rushing to find me, gritting her teeth. Yao Yao, Guyu claims he is back. I must return home for a moment. Mother, if you're going back, why take a broom with you? I intend to teach that unfilial son a lesson. Just then, He Yancy returns, having heard the commotion, and retrieves my golf club from the storage room for her. Auntie, if you wish to strike him, use this. My former mother-in-law chuckles. I was just thinking of using it, but I feared breaking something. I cannot afford to compensate. He Yancy embraces me. Auntie, please take it. I'll drive you over. How could I miss such a spectacle? He Yancy drives us to their location. As we step out of the car, we see them standing there in tattered clothes. Guyu, in particular, appears gaunt, his hair graying, with more white strands than my former mother-in-law. Su Huan's hair is coarse, her skin sallow, and her eye bags prominent, clearly a result of neglecting her appearance. Mother, why aren't you at home? Where's Su Yao? Where's my son? Without another word, my former mother-in-law swings the golf club at him. Guyu struggles desperately, shouting in panic. Mother, why do you keep hitting me? I have only just returned with great difficulty. Where is Su Yao?
Call her to see me.
He and Ci held me as we approached, and Guyu, adorned with the aura of a successful and powerful woman, appeared dazzlingly radiant. I scoffed. Guyu, aren't you supposed to be dead? He wore a wretched smile. I am very much alive, you foolish woman. After raising our children for 18 years with Su Huan, now that we have returned, you should return the children to us. Su Huan approached with a mocking grin. Indeed, Su Yao, you are quite foolish, having played the role of a nanny for our children all these years. Here, let me begrudgingly give you 2,000 yuan. She flung 2,000 yuan at my face, reveling in her triumph. Before I could react, Su Huan received 2 resounding slaps. It was my mother-in-law, enraged, who struck her and yanked her hair mercilessly, forcing her to kneel in agony, pleading for mercy. You old hag, what are you doing? Guyu, can't you see this? Hurry and help. Guyu rushed to separate his mother, defending Su Huan. Mother, why are you hitting her? She bore you a healthy grandson. I no longer have a son. He died years ago. Do not call me mother. My former mother-in-law retaliated with a slap to Guyu's face. Having just been struck with a golf club, he now faced another blow, tears of grievance streaming down his face. Mother, it's me, Guyu.
How can you not recognize me?
I'm not dead. Su Yao couldn't bear children, so I went elsewhere to have them, feigning death to keep her in the dark. Exhausted, my former mother-in-law received 2 more slaps from me, and Guyu realized it was my hand that had struck him. He retorted insolently, You Su Yao, the barren wretch. I have long endured you. This time, it was not my hand but He and C's fierce kick that nearly toppled him, clutching his stomach and howling in pain. Su Huan trembled in fear, not daring to approach, while Guyu called out for his mother. My former mother-in-law advanced with another kick. Do not call me mother. Your father recently learned of your feigned death and died of anger. You are no longer our son. The comments flooded in. Guyu and Su Huan's return was not met with joy, but with a violent confrontation from their own mother. They deserve it. They should have perished abroad. Now they return only to face torment. Evil deeds bring retribution. Guyu glared fiercely at He Yanci. You are Su Yao's lover, aren't you? I am not dead, and I have not divorced her. She is still my wife. His shamelessness reached new heights. I presented our marriage certificate. Guyu, see clearly, I am lawfully wed to He Yanci. Your household registration was revoked years ago. You are now considered illegal residents in this country. Upon seeing the registration date, which fell shortly after their faked death abroad, disbelief washed over his face. However, he quickly dismissed it. What does it matter? Where have you placed my son? Hurry and bring him to me. My eldest son emerged from the car, and Guyu stepped forward, asking, How old are you? Which school do you attend? I am 15, having skipped 3 grades, and I am now studying at Qingbei University. Guyu assumed this handsome boy was a son and felt a surge of pride, wanting to embrace him. The boy recoiled. Dad, Mommy, where did this beggar come from? I am your father. Your mother and I have returned to take you home. Our family can finally reunite. Su Huan joyfully approached. Son, I am your real mother. As she reached for my son's hand, I swiftly pulled him into my embrace. Who says he is yours? He is my son with He Yanci. Simultaneously, my other children, yearning for their parents, were brought over by the nanny and driver. When 6 children simultaneously called out Mommy and Daddy, I noticed Guyu's face darken. He remained skeptical. Su Yao, you cannot bear children. Don't think I will be jealous just because you have gathered so many children for a show. Su Huan dismissed it disdainfully. Yes, Su Yao, you have brought so many children to act, attempting to slap us in the face. What a waste of effort. I looked at them and scoffed. Where else would your son be? If not in an orphanage? If he is not there, then where could he possibly be? Su Huan's face turned pale in an instant, and Guyu appeared panicked. My former mother-in-law could no longer endure their demeanor and stepped forward indignantly. You are the ones who crossed the line first. Su Yao sent that child to the orphanage. I have no objections. My children, having grown under her care, surrounded her,
calling her grandma.
Although she was neither a grandmother nor a maternal figure, they cherished their bond with her, leading them to adopt such a title.
No.
You are deceiving us, aren't you? Guyu, still unconvinced, gripped my former mother-in-law's shoulders, shaking her as he questioned. She disdainfully shook him off. You ungrateful wretch. Do not presume I will acknowledge him as my grandson. Guyu's eyes widened in disbelief. Mother, Su Yao is no longer connected to us. How can you refuse to recognize your own grandson because of her? My former mother-in-law turned away in disgust, smiling as she spoke to my children. The crowd watching grew larger, and former neighbors, recognizing us, mistook Guyu for a ghost and brandished brooms to chase him away. My former mother-in-law attempted to explain. Oh dear, this unfilial son, who, in a bid to leave his illegitimate child for his wife to raise, played a game of feigned death with his mistress and ran abroad for years, has now returned. Passers-by stopped to witness the spectacle, and I, having initially ignored it, could not resist fanning the flames further. I stood beside Su Huan, who had once been my closest friend. Her family favored boys over girls and lived in poverty. During our school days, I gifted her a down jacket worth several thousand yuan and allowed her to stay in an apartment purchased by my parents for me. Little did I expect she would seduce my ex-husband and even plot a fake death to inflict profound pain upon me. As those words left my mouth, the crowd grew increasingly indignant. Goodness, such a woman has no shame. Indeed, and I heard Su Yao's dowry was 3 times the amount of the bride price. Guyu, you are truly inhumane. To forsake such an outstanding wife for a mistress is a disgrace to manhood. The noise became overwhelming, and he and I took the children home, with my former mother-in-law accompanying us. She did not even provide Guyu and Su Huan with a key. Upon returning home, my mother-in-law assured me she would not disclose our address. However, he and remained uneasy, installing surveillance around the house and doubling the number of bodyguards to protect the children. Yet, shortly after, as we participated in a live interview for a financial news outlet, we encountered an obstruction on our way home. To our dismay, it was the unrelenting Guyu and Su Huan. Without a household registration or identification, they could not work or travel normally. In just under a week, they appeared even more haggard. My mother-in-law had not given them a key and had instructed the security to deny their entry into the community, reduced to living beneath a bridge. They looked disheveled and exuded a foul odor, scarcely distinguishable from vagrants. What do you two want from me? My time is exceedingly precious. I am not only busy with work but also need to attend to 6 children. Su Huan glared at me menacingly. Su Yao, you venomous woman. Where is my son? Have you killed him? I laughed coldly. Why should I divulge any information to you when you cannot even find your son? Perhaps if you kneel and beg me, I might show you mercy and share a tidbit. You. Su Huan was left speechless, her face ashen. Once the refined and gentlemanly Guyu, he roared at me without any semblance of composure. Su Yao, are you envious that I have fallen in love with your dear friend, hence you have concealed my son? Tell me, and I shall forgive you. I slowly replied, Guyu, if you wish to uncover the whereabouts of your son, you must kneel before Su Huan and bow 3 times. Then I shall divulge the information. In their desperation, they knelt down, sincerely confessing and apologizing. Their demeanor was relatively earnest. The Qingshan Greenwater Orphanage. You may visit it yourselves. Elated, the 2 of them hailed a cab, while I followed suit in my own vehicle. Remaining at the orphanage were merely a few preschool-aged children, save for one who, despite not appearing of preschool age, was quite diminutive in stature. He took hold of his excrement and began to play with it. Upon seeing a stranger, he curiously hurled it, and it landed squarely on Guyu's face. Enraged, Su Huan attempted to discipline him but was met with a stream of urine from the child. Gu Yu, shedding his foul shoes, began to strike the child, while Su Huan clung to him. The child wailed inconsolably, prompting the director to rush out. Upon seeing me, the director recognized my presence. Director, the biological parents of this child have arrived. The director, glancing over, immediately identified them. The parents of this little bastard are here. You should swiftly take him away. Hearing the director's words, Gu Yu and Su Huan hastily released the mentally impaired child. Their faces turned ashen, and they collapsed onto the ground.
How could this be?
This little trash, how could he possibly be our child? The child, upon learning that they were his parents, eagerly approached them. Their family of 3, resembling beggars, appeared oddly harmonious. Yet, Su Huan, unable to accept this reality, lunged at me fiercely. What have you done to my son? Why has he turned out this way? I stepped back, and the bodyguard assigned to me by he and CI intervened just in time, seizing Su Huan. Gu Yu rushed forward, grappling with the bodyguard, but soon found himself subdued as well. Both were forced to kneel on the ground. I gazed at them with an expression of indifference. The child is yours. You bore him and neglected him, yet you still dare to expect me to serve as your free nanny, raising your child for you. What kind of delusion is this? Is it not your fault that this innocent child has become like this? What does it have to do with me? Suddenly, Su Huan erupted in a fit of sorrowful weeping. I paid her no mind and turned to leave. Upon returning home, the 4 little ones surrounded me, while the 2 older ones prepared to travel abroad for academic exchanges. My dear, you have worked hard these years. With the eldest and second child away for their academic pursuits, let us take this opportunity for a family vacation and relax. Very well. As we boarded the plane, a long silent barrage of comments erupted. Gu Yu and Su Huan took away their biological son, but he soon fell ill and died. Su Huan wished to conceive again,